Two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackie and Judd on SKOR North and SKORNorth.com.
I fully expect a PJ Fleck or Gophers related statement from Judd, who was the only one of us brave enough to watch 3 hours of Gophers Rutgers.
You'll get it.
I actually watched the whole thing as well, shockingly.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I did. I watched
Mr. College football.
Hold on.
That's the upset of the week on this
Self-report. With like 3 minutes to go, I went to the bar. So I left. I watched it all from home and then went to the bar. Usually people go to the bar, then they come home. No, I did the opposite. I watched like 90% of a college football game from my own couch, and then I was like, okay, let's get out of here. Getting out of
I watched the entire thing on my couch, and you are right. I do have a statement.
So stick around for that later in statements here. Yeah, we went and watched. We were at a bar, and it was on a TV kind of down on the other end of the bar, and they had a different game on. And we were like, should we ask to put the, let's just keep it over there. We'll just keep it on from a distance. But okay, let's go around the room. Our statements here on Minnesota Sports with Mackie and Judd. I'm going to give you this one to start with here. I still can't believe the Vikings employed Ed Donatel for an entire football season. If you look at the way the football world has evolved the last 2 years, starting with the fact that the Vikings have this terrorizing defense. I know it was Mac Jones and the Jaguars, but Brian Flores comes in and just schemes up, hey guys, Jaguars, you're not scoring double digits. Sorry, there's zero chance. You're not going to cross the 50 for most of the day.
Yeah,
he's just able to deploy and his aggressiveness, everything. But the other thing from yesterday in the morning, we had, I think it was our last European game. It was the game in Germany, right?
Munich, yeah,
in Munich. And the Panthers and the Giants went to overtime. It was a 20-17 win by the Carolina Panthers over the New York Giants. And Daniel Jones for the Giants was as bad as he's been eye test-wise. The stats may not bear it out, but no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, a 33.9 QBR. This has been Daniel Jones. Essentially, every game of his career, except for the 2 games he played against the Ed Donatell defense in the regular season and the playoffs against the Vikings. Those 2 games got this dude $40 million a year, another 2 years as the Giants starter. It's going to get everyone fired in that organization. They're going to start over again. Ed Donatell's sitting there at home, can't stop Daniel Jones. New coordinator comes in, instantly builds one of the best defenses in the NFL with a couple tweaks to the personnel. But as I'm watching the Vikings and the Giants play yesterday, I couldn't help but think about Ed Donatell.
It is unbelievable too. Like Mac Jones came here on Thanksgiving night and looked just fabulous. Yeah. And it's like, oh, there's something here. There's definitely something here. Daniel Jones, same thing. You're right. So I think in retrospect too, here's what I think now that we know more about the process. I think what happened was that because O'Connell coached with the Rams through the Super Bowl, and for a head coach got such a late start here, I think the Donatell hire was put in place before him, and he basically couldn't stop it. And so, and again, they said, hey, he plays the Fangio, and the Fangio is the greatest thing of, right? So I wonder,
Fangio.
I got 2 questions off 2022 now in retrospect. All right. One was the draft. Like, how much came from the former scouts? Was Kwesi influenced by that? Just the whole thought process, right? The Spielman thing, trade back, get more picks. That's my first one. I would love to know the play-by-play of that one. But the second one is, because O'Connell got here so late in the process, what went into the hiring of the assistants, and namely Ed?
Yeah.
Because Kevin's a bright guy. He's a bright boy, right? Like, I can't imagine that he looked at Ed after much time. In fact, there's that great picture that still ends up on Twitter of
staring him down
with a side eye on the sideline, like, you're an idiot, right? So yeah, those are 2 things, because How do two quarterbacks who are just so bad, and we sort of knew that they were bad, look so good against this one in a snapshot of time?
So I hope Ed's having a good holiday season here. He made a lot of money coaching
He should be
football.
getting paychecks. Mac Jones and Daniel Jones should be siphoning some of their check to the Donatils.
Well, how long was, I'm guessing his defensive coordinator contract with the Vikings was a multi-year deal, right? Probably maybe a 2-year deal.
Yeah.
So they were definitely paying him last year. You think they're still paying him this year?
Ooh, that's
Great question.
I'll dig on that. That's
for the Judd
great
Substack, we could maybe.
I'll dig on that. That's a great. I didn't think of that till now.
Are they still paying?
Are they still paying this guy? And if so, could they sue him for fraud?
Oh, geez.
Posing as a defensive coordinator.
Oh, amazing.
All right, my statement. I'm so glad the Vikings aren't the Bears. I'm so glad the Vikings aren't the Bears basically every day, but especially even today. So they get off to a nice little start. 5-2. They're looking okay. 4-2. They got off to a decent little start there. Hey, maybe Caleb Williams showing something a little bit here. This is a deep NFC North. Bears have just Bearsed it since then. And yesterday they lost at home to a Patriots team that was supposed to be one of the worst teams in the NFL and probably is tracking to have maybe a chance at getting the number 1 overall pick. And then this morning on ESPN 1000, Matt Eberflus, who I'm guessing made his contractual appearance on the radio station, was having cell phone problems. So not even only is he dealing with, his own team imploding, dude can't even get his cell phone.
We got to pull those experiences.
Coach, your cell phone's as bad as the offense right now. All right, we'll put them on hold and see if we can reestablish.
Coach?
Oh, man.
Jonathan Hood trying his absolute best. I think that's Jonathan Hood, right? With
I think so.
I believe
Kaplan
so.
There.
Yeah.
Trying his, okay, well, and I know that exact face of, okay, we're going to try to manage this situation the best. By the way, that whole situation of phone line, landline, and Kaplan went on a rant of, can we get this guy a landline? My PTSD of producing live radio, right there. That just literally shoots me up with anxiety. But I'm so glad the Vikings are not the Chicago Bears, dude. It's just a dumpster fire right there.
I've got a conspiracy theory on that entire exchange, okay? He was in his car. Like you could tell, he was moving. So he's not in. I wonder if he was just in route and knew, you know what? If I'm en route right now, because there's certain pockets, if you drive them a lot, you know where the dead spots are, right? Where it just conveniently goes out.
So I could see that.
You're saying he purposefully was driving into those dead zone spots.
Yeah. Yes, I'm saying he was driving. He was probably because when he's talking before it cuts out, you can hear the hum of the car.
Do you think maybe he was faking that there was reception issue?
Yeah. Kind of like what Maverick does. Maverick does that in Top Gun Maverick 2. Remember, he's trying to communicate with him up in the jet. Caleb Williams.
That's entirely possible. Yes, that's entirely possible. It's just so convenient that this guy Kaplan carves him up, right? And then he's supposed to be the guy talking to him, and then his cell phone cuts out.
Well, it's funny. So we did Bears Vent Line on Purple Daily this morning, Hottest Vikings Takes edition. So if you haven't checked that out, and one of the clips we played was from Kaplan's He has his own separate YouTube channel in addition to the ESPN 1000 radio show. And he literally starts his live stream after the game by saying, this dude needs to be fired now. Like, what are they waiting for? Fire him. And then the very next morning, and credit to him, he wasn't a different person, but it was like, hey, Coach, we're welcome to Coach Eberflus on ESPN 1000 here. Coach, talk about the offense.
Coach, what's going on? How are you this morning? Well, I'm good. Jonathan Hood, those great. Coach?
Also, maybe we can do a quick research project here, but the Bears, it feels like they make this mistake, the same mistake, more than almost any organization, where they're going through turmoil, they draft a new quarterback, and the old coach sticks around for like a year as they draft a new quarterback. And it's kind of clunky right away, as it's probably going to be with a rookie quarterback. and they maybe didn't fully believe in that coach to begin with, but they left him in, and now there's a rookie quarterback, and it kind of train wrecks. And then they fire a coach 1 year into the rookie quarterbacks. Isn't that the exact same thing that happened with Justin Fields? Wasn't Matt Nagy the head coach?
Yeah.
And then they fired him, and then they brought in Eberflus.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And then before that, Trubisky wasn't Mark Trestman the first coach for?
He was there. I don't remember. I don't remember if he was Mitch's
Trestman was the
coach.
But they
anyway,
seem to do this.
Yes. They're off. They are poorly run, which might be why Ben Johnson, who's going to be choosy, wouldn't take that job. Although Caleb would be attractive to work.
It was John Fox, by the way. John Fox was the coach for the first year of Trubisky, and then they fire Fox. They bring in Nagy, and then Nagy gets through the 3 more years of Trubisky. And they we're done with Trubisky, but we're going to keep Nagy. So we're going to draft Fields and pair him with Nagy, but we're not super confident about Nagy. So if things go wrong, we're going to fire Nagy. Then they bring in Eberflus, and they sour on Fields. Okay, we're going to bring in another quarterback. We're going to keep Eberflus.
Yes.
And it better work right away. And if it doesn't, it's the same pattern.
And John Fox was with the Carolina Panthers at one time a really good coach, but he had lost his fastball, and he was a defensive guy, and Trubisky had no shot. And I don't know that Trubisky could. I mean, that was such a poor draft pick. But then Nagy was essentially the modern day Brad Childress at the time, attached to Reed. Sort of looked like Brad. Came in, offensive guy, and then after the double doink, never the same.
Doink.
No,
never the same.
Not many people would be the same after a double doink. No. All right, back to Judd.
All right, you know what? I'm going to start you off with one from Sunday as well, because it just deserves a spotlight, and that is the Detroit Lions are the biggest, baddest, badass on the block. Your quarterback goes into Houston on the road in primetime and throws not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 picks. 5 picks. You are being pretty much rolled at the half on the road. Houston's not a bad team.
Yeah.
They just lost to the Jets before, so they're clearly a little disappointing right now, but they're not a bad team. And you rally for that win last night. Just the mental toughness. Dan Campbell, when it started, it was like, who's going to buy into this? Well, guess what? The entire franchise did. If nothing else, the mental fortitude that the Lions showed last night with a quarterback who had a bad game, with a lot of, you know what? We've lost 1 game. Okay, now we've lost 2 games. Not the end of the world. And you come back and get that win. Damn, that's impressive.
Yeah, it was. It's funny because for both the Chiefs and the Lions, it looked like, okay, these teams are going to get this is the week where they stumble or whatever. And the Chiefs wind up blocking a field goal at the buzzer, a short chip shot field goal. Yep. And the Lions, I'll be honest, I faded out in like the third quarter. I was trying to stay awake and watch that game. I'm like, I think I'm safe here. They're down by 2 scores. And you wake up. Yeah, and Jared Goff was asked about his performance, and I'm paraphrasing his summary, but he said, I actually don't feel like I played that poorly. It was just like some weird fluky plays and bad luck. And he goes, and trust me, I've been at the bottom mentally as a quarterback. And that is not how I felt during those 5 interceptions. It's not how I feel right now.
Yeah.
So he does seem to be able to just sort of flush that stuff more than most quarterbacks in the league. But for them this felt like a final regular season test of like, okay, and there's still 8 games left or whatever it is for them. But you guys are going to throw 5 interceptions against a really good team in prime time.
Yep.
How do you sort of react to that? And they wind up winning the game. So if you can't beat them by picking them off 5 times, how are you going to beat them? It's daunting for the rest of the NFC for sure.
And they got, at the start of the game here, they got punched in the mouth and responded. And in this case, they got punched in the mouth for 2 full quarters.
Yeah. Man, I couldn't be more proud of you guys. I'm so dang proud of you guys.
I'm shocked. I like just did a quick look at like his post game speech. I don't think there were tears. I'm shocked there weren't tears. Maybe there is, and I don't have the volume up.
Might be
But
past the
So
tears.
freaking proud of this football team.
He might be past tears for now, but if they advance in the playoffs again, I expect some tears from Danny.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, if
Good
they
for
get to
him.
the Super Bowl, yeah.
Oh.
But they've, for being a laughing stock for the better part of 50 years, they now have it right from a personnel front office standpoint, just a monster roster.
Yep.
They've got a great culture building coach who's aggressive, who has this incredible mad scientist scheming offensive coordinator. And they've got, aside from last night, a quarterback who can put the ball where it needs to be and just get the ball out. They've got great weapons everywhere. I mean, it's,
The running backs?
yeah, it's a badass team. It's a badass football team for sure. Man, the NFL was just, I'm going to say this for the Vikings and for other teams. Here's my next statement. Keep an eye on the 49ers. Keep an eye on the 49ers. They just won back-to-back games for the first time all season. I think a lot of people with the injuries, the sub 500 record at one point kind of wrote this team off, but they go into a good Tampa Bay team. They win that game 23-20 yesterday. Brock Purdy throws for 353 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And now they've made first-round pick who got shot 3 months ago, Ricky Pearsall, into a legit weapon. Mm-hmm. So Juwan Jennings has become like their go-to weapon as a receiver. Ricky Pearsall, Deebo Samuel still there. George Kittle, obviously. And then Christian McCaffrey was back. Not the same old. He looks a little rusty, a little banged up. But that's a team in a division that is probably going to be there at the end. Remember, 2 years ago, or 2021, so 3 years ago, they started, I believe it was 3-5 or 3-4, similar. I think it was 3-5 actually.
Yeah, they've done this.
And they wind up getting to the NFC Championship game. So whether you're the Vikings looking to see who you might be playing in the first round of the playoffs or just teams that you're going to have to contend with, I think when it's all said and done at the end of the regular season, the Lions, the 49ers, maybe the Packers, but the Vikings are all like, those are going to be the teams to really keep an eye on in about 2 months from now.
Yeah, San Fran is just like, to your point, they've been here before. They've got guys back now. They sort of have a blueprint for this. Most teams don't. And I credit them too, because a little bit like Detroit, they're really mentally tough. Like, they are really mentally tough. I mean, their kicker yesterday was 1 of 4 on the road, and they won.
Yeah.
And Debo got in his face.
Yep. That was weird. Well, Debo started to choke the long snapper, right?
Yeah, he started choking out the long snapper, and their kicker broke it up. It was a very bizarre thing. But anyway, they have the Cardinals are weird. I keep discounting them, and I probably shouldn't. They crushed the Jets. I mean, the Jets, it's just pathetic. But they crushed the Jets. Kyler looks good, so I probably shouldn't be discounting them. But the 49ers in that division probably worry me the most right now as far as like a playoff contender that could make a run.
Yep.
And it wouldn't shock me.
And even if you have a better record than, because whoever wins that division is likely to have a worse record than the Vikings, but you would still, because they're a division winner, you would still go to their home stadium for that first round playoff game.
Come on, Sam. Come on, Sam Darnold.
Can you imagine, man? Sammy Darnold, San Francisco. That would be get your popcorn ready type of football game, but yeah.
Another Vikings or kind of lifestyle related statement from me. My statement is I'm excited for my next trip to Vegas. Took that ticket of 6.5 wins when I was there after the wedding.
There you go.
Add that in. Very excited to cash that at the end of the season or whenever I go to Vegas next. But I can't believe that my touchdown prop bet. So I made 1 touchdown in every single Vikings game. I made it on Write That Down, too. I doubled down here. I made it on Write That Down, and I put money on it in Vegas. And look, that's a tough thing to do. It had plus money on it. That's why I was very intrigued on it. I thought this would be a fun little one to watch. And it comes to end in Jacksonville. If this had happened against even early, like against San Fran or a Houston Texans defense, I'd been like, okay, I get it. but it comes to end.
Even at Chicago, I feel like if it happened like at Soldier Field, you'd be like, okay, all right.
Well,
Yeah.
and with that statistical output, that's the incredible thing.
Yes.
How do you not accidentally score a touchdown?
I know.
With that statistical, I mean, everything.
You're going to have 28 first downs, 400 yards of total offense,
Never
and you're
give
going to
up the
have
ball.
4 different double-digit play drives. What are the odds of you not scoring a touchdown?
Yeah.
In fact, did I see that the Vikings are they were like the first team in 180 games or something to throw 3 interceptions, whatever the combination of
And
statistical oddity, and win the game.
Yes.
It was like 3 interceptions and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah.
Not score a touchdown and win a game.
I know people love when they talk about their own, fantasy football and betting things, situations that don't or do go their way. But I am upset that of all places it ends like that.
Yeah, no, that.
Yeah, I feel you.
Come on.
I feel you. Yeah, I think it was a long shot to happen over the course of a full season, but that was the game that you
can
probably
thank
win.
Sammy. Sammy single-handedly screwed you out of that.
He did. Yeah, he
All
took
right.
money out of your pocket.
All right, here's my last one. Gopher's going to gopher. Gopher's going to gopher. Play the rouser, please. There you go.
Now you're mocking. Now you're smocking.
I was expecting a very fired up.
Go
get here.
No, they're going to go for it. And you know what? The fact that I believe I did write that down on the fact that they beat Rutgers and be a top 25 team because that would have been 5 consecutive wins. Idiotic of me. Idiotic that I didn't see this coming, which is at a moment where the team got off to a bad start and it's like, okay. And then they turned things around and had won, I believe, 4 consecutive games and looked pretty damn good at times. And then they go to Piscataway, New Jersey. They go and play around the mobsters, and they look like the most pathetic. I mean, that was awful. That was awful. Callie McManus in the first half looked like Johnny Unitas in his prime. Now the second half,
of all the quarterbacks,
he went back to looking like himself, and that's when they collapsed. The tight end fumbles the ball. The Rutgers scores a touchdown there. The Gophers looked, the second half, they couldn't do anything offensively. The entire offense turned into a pumpkin. But you know what? I am most disappointed in the sports dad forever believing that, this team was going to continue this. This is what they do at the most inopportune moments. I'm looking at you, 2019 Gophers, great year. Game day is here. Just beat Wisconsin. You get off to a lead. You're going to the Big Ten title game for the first and only time, and you blow it. And the last thing, my stance on Fleck hasn't changed a bit. So if you're gonna say, yeah, sports dad, fire Fleck, no, it doesn't make a difference. Just allow.
He does not deserve to be on a hot
No,
seat.
he does not. Just you're gonna go for it again. Sayonara. Penn State now. Who cares?
Well, because they're the Gophers, I think there's a really good chance that a really good chance, but they could definitely still pull an upset at home against Penn State.
But it all would have been part of something grander if they had continued the win streak and then the bye week and then Penn State. Yeah, they could do anything.
There was also, I saw somewhere on social media in the morning, I was watching College Game Day and kind of scrolling through before the game started. And I think it was like CBS Sports put out a graphic of here are the teams that are outside of like the top 12 and the bubble. So it wasn't like like Ole Miss came in ranked 15th and then they beat Georgia. It was the teams that were beyond that, maybe even teams that were unranked that still had a percentage chance to make the college football playoff. And it was like 9 teams. It was Army and the Gophers were on that graphic.
Yeah. They were on the verge of being a top 25
Rutgers.
team. All they had to do was beat a quarterback that they could not get rid of fast enough.
So if they, just for fun here, all right, if they had won that game, which they should have,
Yep.
and then you got a top 10 Penn State team at home, right? Let me pull up here.
Yep. Bye week, second bye week coming up, Penn State, and then at Wisconsin.
So 3 wins is going to be really tough to get into the college football play, or 3 losses is really tough to get into the college football playoff.
Yeah. Yes.
But the way it was kind of shaken out, like, okay, the teams that are just outside, like Clemson, Colorado, are 2-loss teams. Texas A&M is a 2-loss team. It starts to get hard. You're going to have some teams that have 3 losses that are like on the edge of that college football playoff. And if your resume includes a win over a top 5 team in Penn State, I'm just saying, like, if they would have beat Rutgers and they beat Penn State, it becomes a conversation. Are they in the discussion for like the 12 seed in the college football playoff? Just saying.
This statement was merely a chance to call myself an idiot for believing that they were actually, they're going to win this game. They just picked the worst possible times to because they now
gopher.
Lead you down the path, right? Oh, I can sort of see something here. Oh, this is Max Brosmer. Oh, I see it. And then you go to Rutgers and pull this. Your former OC, Kirk Soraka, who left you once, and then I think you just fired him straight up. Like, there were all these connections. The quarterback beat you. It's just, It's me. You know what, PJ? Let me be the first to say, it's not you. It's me.
No.
It's all my fault. I shouldn't have believed in you.
Man, I'm so excited for the college football playoff. It's going to be, you look at
awesome.
These home road matchups in the first round.
How is it? Because we have certainly, rightfully so, ripped on sports, certain leagues and certain sports that feel like a mess. How is it the messier college football, the more seemingly screwed up it gets, the better it gets?
Yeah, well, this is, it's screwed
chaos.
up in terms of NIL, but it's not screwed up in terms of the bracket now. This is more exciting now.
But I'm saying, like, with the portal now, NIL now, it's a free-for-all. And ordinarily, it would be like, well, that's bad for the sport. It's improved the sport.
But it actually creates a little more parity in some ways because
probably
because players are available to go. Okay, this team is going to contend, and like Florida State sucks now. I'm going to transfer and go over here. By the way, 4 of the top 5 teams in the country right now in the AP poll are Big Ten teams. Oregon number 1, Ohio State number 2, Texas 3, obviously in the SEC, and then Penn State 4, and Indiana is the 5th ranked team in the Associated Press poll right now.
Indiana got a scare, but God, their turnaround's incredible.
Yeah, that coach who he was asked about, so how are you? What's your plans on building this program? When he took the job, he goes, Google me. I win.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Okay, all right, cool. I mean, he's right. He's not wrong. He has not lost a game yet this year at Indiana. Let's have Declan fire someone's ass before we say goodbye here on this Monday Statements.
Let's see. I did Eberflus last week.
Yeah,
I don't think I can fire him again. That certainly would not be fair.
How have they not fired him, by the way, yet this morning?
Dude.
Why is he going to coach their next game? Do they have a bye week, or are they playing this week?
The Bears are very, very weird. So they should, but I don't think that, because they're still run by, is it Virginia McCaskey, who's like 90 something?
I mean, is she running it, or is she just sort of owning it and watching things happen?
I don't think we know.
Oh, dude, they start their division schedule this week, so they play home against the Packers, and then home against the Vikings, and then they play the Lions the week after that.
Are they gonna cash this thing in and just try and get another high draft pick?
They might not have a choice because the rest of their schedule after that is at the 49ers, at the Vikings, home against the Lions.
Right. But if you change coaches, you might get that blip. The Saints got that. The Saints got that.
I don't know
against
that
the Falcons.
They need some different opponents to get the blip, though. I think unless you think the fire coach blip is good enough to beat the Vikings.
It might be.
Dude, they have the most brutal schedule of any team in the league the rest of the way. They might legitimately not win a game the rest of the season.
Right.
Good
Well,
case.
but I guess my question is, will they mind? I mean, you get first pick then, right? Probably.
Oh.
Probably.
Anyways,
let's just make this easier because I feel like it's just lovely going. Not only are the Giants obviously going to self-implode like we talked about in our opening statement here with Daniel Jones, just fire everyone on the Jets because this is great. I thoroughly enjoy watching the Jets just be absolutely awful. They lost 31-6 to the Cardinals, and yes, maybe Judd's right. Maybe we're sleeping on the Cardinals. I do think they're a fun team, but it's the last 2 years, and I know Rodgers had the injury right away last season, but look out for the Jets. Oh, they have a soft spot in their schedule. Oh, but they can do this, dude. They're not doing anything. They're 3-7. They're 4 games under 500. Their quarterback has also just become a huge problem. I'm not buying anything what the Jets can do, even if they have Colts, Seahawks, Dolphins, Jags coming up here in their schedule.
No, it doesn't.
Dude.
It's over.
It's over. It is. It's so over. So let's fire everyone on the New York Jets. No
Couldn't
problem.
happen to
Again,
Nicer
too.
guy.
a better organization.
Yeah.
So is Aaron just going to go away now? Like, what's going to happen here?
I doubt it.
Here's what I would guess, because it's never his fault, right? He's going to look around at the Jets organization, and it's going to be that they didn't have the coaching staff and the leadership and all this stuff. I don't. He's a narcissist. Like, that dude that dude has never been wrong about anything, football or otherwise. And he's kind of a toxic teammate. And like when things are going well, he'll be high-fiving and stuff, but his eye rolling, the death stares, the weird shove of, and even the Packers, like the way that the Packers clearly had to manage that relationship at the end, super high maintenance weirdo. Mm-hmm. I don't think he's going to want this to be the end. I think he's going to want to force himself. He'll force a trade, and then we have to figure out like what team would take that dude on and the money that you'd have to take on. I'm just going through some of the teams here. Like with the
who?
But it's got to be a team that can compete enough too.
Right. Yeah,
because he's going to want to win some
games.
And
what sane head coach at this point in time? Because I think he turns 41 next season, right? During next season sometime?
I think so, yeah.
I mean, what sane head coach is going to want that pain in the ass?
Yeah, this would be an interesting exercise of like what teams, like I could see the Raiders desperately making a play, but why would he want to go to the Raiders? They don't have any weapons.
Devontae's gone now. So
Devontae's gone. Yeah.
I wonder if he's going to try and stick around the Jets.
Stick around the Jets, maybe influence who the head coach is in some way. Could see that happening.
But I mean,
I don't think he's going to want this to be the end.
He brought in an OC who they had to strip play calling from because he's such a bad OC.
Yeah. So anyways, everyone else who hasn't been fired with the Jets is fired by Dex here.
Yep. It's great.
All right.
No one's left.
Love it.
Here we go. All right, if you guys haven't partaken already, we have a State of the Wolves Monday edition of Flagrant Howls. We got our hottest Vikings takes on Purple Daily. I know Judd's going to connect with Royce for a Monday Royce Unchained.
Yep.
Judd's hockey show is
we'll be doing
on
one today
fire
and
to start the season.
Yes. Very high on the. Yes, they lost to the Blackhawks, but I still find a lot of positives from that game.
Positive Judd. So. All right, those are your Monday statements here on Minnesota Sports with Mackie and Judd. See you guys.